That'll make you stop.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. GG. Mm-hmm. I know it. I know it. Get down, boy. Stop. Sit down. Sit on down. You all right? What's wrong, Lizzie? I see you, Lizzie. Yeah, we finna get ready to start. Mm-hmm. Stop, Leah. Stop. 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 Both of you. It's not a toy, Leah. Both of you can't play with that. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. Stop. Just give it here, and nobody will have it. Because all y'all can't have something together at the same time. Why would you do that? That wasn't nice. To the viewer, we appreciate you. We're finna get ready to take off in a few minutes. In a few moments. In a few moments. Hey, 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 sit it on down. Sit it on down. Sit it on down. Everybody sit it on down. Let's sit it on down. Boogie, come on. Let's go. Come on, Boogie. Come on and sit down. Oh, y'all can't fit up there, man. What you want me to do? I can't make you get up there. Close your legs, Elizabeth. Pull your dress down. There you go. Calm down, Isaiah.
No, this way.
Already know I can't do that. Isaiah, all y'all can't get in there. It's not enough room for all of you. I guess you're gonna make it room for you then. Very well then. We're gonna be talking about something about dealing with the prisoners and then the captives. That's what we're gonna. Hey man, hey, cut it short. No room for tantrums, sir. No room for tantrums. You know I'm not for that. I ain't on that. Y'all got to relax, huh? Y'all got to relax in here. Y'all sit down. Everybody sit down. Find somewhere to sit down. Find somewhere to sit down. Close your legs, Elizabeth Renee. Probably about 5 more minutes. We make it to go ahead and go.
The number you are dialing is outside of your plan and will incur a 1 cent per minute charge.
Hey man, chill out.
You can hang up now to avoid the charge. Welcome. This service is for you. You are the only.
Alright. Hey, that's enough. Just sit down and be quiet. It's not that hard to sit down and be quiet. It's not that hard. When that TV on and them cartoons on, y'all can sit down and be quiet. So if you can sit down and be quiet for Clifford the Big Red Dog, you can sit down and be quiet right now, can't you? Can't you? Can't you? Yeah, well, I say, right, we're going to be looking at some little stuff in Psalms 102. It's actually 3 different topics that cycled through my mind the last 2, 3 days, and my mind settled on this one. And we still have some that we're going to touch on, talking about that seed that we have been talking about for like the last week. And y'all willing, we touch on that on the Shabbat. You know, y'all willing, we got Brother Darius from Gainesville by way of Detroit that hopefully Most High when he gonna be sliding through, and Brother DC gonna be coming up here from Palm Beach. So y'all know we gonna be at that clubhouse on Saturnalia Eve. So if you don't have the address and the information for that, you know what I'm saying, let me know so that it can be shot on around there to you. You know, we got the things with Purim coming. Again, I'll reiterate that. You know, also with the feast, everybody got to make sure that they put that we get our money put in early and not late, so we not scrambling and all this stuff here, man. And you can't eat how you want to eat, and you know what I'm saying? Cause you have to stay out in front of stuff. You wait till the last minute. That's why you get poor performance on a lot of things, man. It's always better to be proactive instead of trying to pass over a couple weeks from now. Now we're gonna try to do it. That's not a way to think. That's not a way to be. That's not a way to do things. And that stuff can spill over. Obviously, that'll show that it can spill over when you do other things because you procrastinating or trying to rush at the last minute. That's just not how. That's just not a good way of doing things. I seen it's a particular topic that I know that we started and we had completed, and y'all willing we got to come back because I seen the brother who sparked it for me to even begin to what actually started us actually dealing with it, and that's it's Yah alone. You know what it says, you know, I'm Yah, there's no one beside me. What that actually, no, you shouldn't have threw it. Now you can do without it. How about that? Yeah, you can do without it now. No, I don't find that funny at all. I don't find that humorous. But whether Yah is alone or was there someone next to him, or what does that actually mean and things of that nature. You know, we started talking about that, but we didn't we didn't complete it. So y'all willing, we get back round to completing that. I'm trying to give people opportunity to get on this line before I begin, because I ain't got all night, y'all ain't got all night, and you know what I'm saying? Don't kick him. Hey man, get down. You know how to get, you got up there, you can get down. Man, get down. Leave him alone, Liv. You get down on his own. Don't start all that whining. Get down.
You are the only participant.
Don't start all that. You shouldn't have threw it. Now sit your healthy behind down somewhere until where you going, Elizabeth Renee? If you don't pull your dress down, you close your legs. Where's your hats? Go get a hat, Lizzie. Go get a hat, Leah. That's okay, Leah. That's you all right. As soon as they come back with that, we finna pray and we finna go. Talk about how this man came to deal with the prisoners. It's actually a twofold thing, because we his prisoners, servants, bondmen, bondwomen, so to speak, and then you know we dealing with us being servants of sin itself, and that how he had to set that free and look at that from a couple different angles. You know what I'm saying? See how that goes. Come on, Potts. All right, little crybaby boy. Come on, Renee. Come on, thanks. Come on, thanks. All right, y'all. Leave that alone. We finna pray, y'all. Righteous Father Yahuwah, we thank you for thy mercies, goodness, and salvation. We thank you for opportunity to hear thy word. We ask you to guide us and lead us according to thy truth, according to thy righteousness, and to look upon the whole house and put that down. Look upon the whole house of Yasharah, to the Yahudim first and also to the heathen, all those that walk before thee in Ruach and in truth. Let thy mercies be upon them. To all the set apart synagogues and assemblies of Yahuwah and the four corners of the earth, root them individually and collectively. Let all thy servants who live and preach and teach thy word be visited with a word from on high. They might feed and edify thy people, that esteem and honor might be brought to thy name by Hashem Yahushua HaMashiach. Remember the apostles and prophets that paid the way of the faith and sent laborers into thy harvest, for the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. That the word which you made with our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, might be fulfilled, that uncircumcised hearts might be humbled, that we might sanctify ourselves in faith, sanctify ourselves in truth, that we might stand before thee in righteousness and goodness and in mercy, that you might be our Alahym and we might be thy people. Remember Jerusalem, the city of salvation, rebuild her desolate waste places, and plant back thy prisons of hope into that place, that we might see her, that we might dwell in her, that we might sing praises unto thy name, and dwell in the land where our fathers dwell. Remember the assembly of the firstborn individually and collectively. Let the love of Hamashiach dwell in our hearts by faith. Guide us and lead us and strengthen us according to truth, according to righteousness, according to thy mercies. Let us seek not our own heart and our own way and our own will, but to seek the will that is in Shammahim. Let us be converted and transformed into thy word. Let us become prisoners of hope and prisoners of our salvation, slaves to thy Son Yahushua HaMashiach, that we might be quickened to life everlasting, to dwell in thy kingdom forever. As we proceed further, we ask thee for a word from on high, word of truth and righteousness to come to us, that we may know him that is true, that we are in him that is true, even our Son Yahushua HaMashiach. This is the true Alahym and eternal life. Father, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yahuwah by Hashem Yahushua this day. So be it. All right, y'all get over there and sit down. Y'all get over there and sit down. Go sit down. All right, y'all. John, the 5th chapter and the 39th verse. Get over there and sit down, son. Go sit down. Go sit down. Go sit down. John 5:39, everybody. Sit down. I don't care nothing about that. I don't care nothing about that. And it says, search the scriptures, for in it you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. You know, I was talking to some brothers the other day. I can't remember. I think it was Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday. They were calling about that virgin birth matter. That was the main crux of the conversation. You know, certain stuff that we had just talked about not too long ago. And the reason why I mentioned it is not that particular topic. But as we were looking at certain things, it was funny to me is that when certain things were pointed out in the word, that brothers overlooked that and wouldn't reconcile those matters. Hey, man. Chill out. Chill out. Relax. You too. You too. It's like I said, like a lot of brothers don't want to reconcile and deal with. Hey, y'all gotta cut that noise down, boy. Why you hit her with that? They wouldn't reconcile particular matters, that they would overlook them and disregard them. Hey, man, get over there and sit down. Just get over there and sit down. Get up. Just get up. I ain't with all that whining. Get up. Get over there and sit down. You tripping, man. They wouldn't reconcile a lot of those matters. So they would just sit back and they would disregard certain stuff because they wanted certain matters to be how they wanted it to be. And we can't operate that way. But let's look at something in Psalms 102. See, because that can carry over into our habits, into our actions. Psalms 102 and 13. Hey, man, sit down. Sit down. I'm not with all that whining, man. Get over there and sit down. Hey, go on in the living room with that. I ain't with all that. You stay out there with that, man. Psalms 102 and 13. Hold on, y'all. It says, let me see if somebody on here first. All right, little boy, come on. Isaiah.
There's one other participant in the conference. Please announce yourself.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, who this? Oh, that's right. You didn't see that in the chat. They called me and let me know because I wasn't on here. Yeah, that's because they charge. No, they charge 1 cent a minute. So I have to make sure somebody on here before I call it. If ain't nobody on there, I ain't gonna be on it. Psalms 102 and 13. It says, thou shalt arise and have mercy upon Zion. Hey, no. Sit down and be still. No riding. Do you understand me? You understand, Lizzie? You understand, Liz? No riding. Thou shalt arise and have mercy upon Zion, for the time to favor her, yea, the set time is come. So he says there's a time that he's going to favor Zion. For thy servants take pleasure in her stones, and favor the dust thereof. So we're just going to look at something about looking at he take favor in her stones and the dust thereof. And we'll see what he's trying to tell us here. We got to move a little quick, but not too quick. Because I want to hit a couple things, but I know I ain't got all night because it's Wednesday. I ain't finna keep everybody all night. So we look at taking pleasure in her stones. We look at it as the word stones here. And we have Evan. And it's precious stones or stones of fire. Stone-like objects or sacred object. You know what I'm saying? Also, you can look at it as the memorial that Alahym set up for Yasharal to defeat the Philistines. Or hewn stones. So, let's look at something right there. So let's look at Nehemiah chapter 4 and verse 1. And after we look at Nehemiah, because he say, take pleasure in his stones. Say, for thy servants take pleasure in her stones, and favor the dust thereof. Let's look at the dust thereof part 2. When we look at that dust, it's as far as dry earth or ashes or earth or loose earth or debris or mortar. So just keep that in mind. So it says you take pleasure in her stones, and you favor the dust thereof. Let's look at Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 1 first. It says, but it came to pass when Sanballat heard that we builded the wall, he was wroth, and took great indignation, and mocked the Yahudim. And he spake before his brethren in the army of Samaria and said, why do these feeble Yahudim, what do these, feeble Yahudim? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they make an end in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of the rubbish which was burned? So he's asking a question. Will they sacrifice and make an end in one day? And will they revive stones out of heaps? Let's look at that word for heaps there. So if I'm not mistaken, we done went over this before, but it was a good long while ago. And when we look at heaps, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to tell us about the grave. When we look at heaps, it's a pile or a sheaf or a heap of corn or a sheaf. So when we think about sheaves, we know that would be dealing with the wave offering of Mashiach after his resurrection. As you can see when he's telling you about reviving stones out of that were burned, or the rubbish that was burned. Let's look at that rubbish as well. This thing here is tripping. I don't know what's wrong with this laptop in these days and times. You look at rubbish, and again, that's the same thing, that dry earth or that powder. So he's saying, are you going to be able to revive the stones out of the heaps of the rubbish or the earth that was burned? The same thing that we see in Psalms 102. Or whatever it was I just mentioned. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. They say her servants love her stones, and he favors the dust thereof. So we'll have to look at the favoring of the dust and see what that means, and then how that would correlate to another matter. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies. Hold on. All right. And envyings and all evil speakings, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. If so be you have tasted that the master is favorable, to whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, and chosen of Alahym, and precious. Ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house, a Kadesh priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Alahym by Yahushua HaMashiach, Wherefore it is also contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect and precious. He that believe on him shall not be confounded. Unto you therefore which believe he is precious. But unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner. Now again, as we look in Psalms 102, we actually get to see some of this of what Peter was talking about. And I'm going to reread that to you. He says, thy servants take pleasure in her stones, and favor the dust thereof. Now, so when you look at these stones, it's telling you about taking favor in Hamashiach, because that's what he said. You lively stones, you done came to the chief cornerstone. But let's look at this thing. We say, well, you make an end of sacrifices in one day, because this was something that I just discussed with somebody the other day, so we have to look at this. Daniel chapter 9 and 27, if I'm not mistaken. Daniel 9 and 27. Because the brother was asking, like, okay, when you look at in the Acts of the Apostles, you know, the temple was still standing. So they were still making offerings and sacrifices. You know what I'm saying? But even though they were making offerings and sacrifices at that time, it was just for ritual's sake. They didn't really serve no purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because the master, and we're going to look at that in Matthew 24:1, the master already told you this place was going to be torn down. Because you just heard him say that you've been made a spiritual house to offer spiritual sacrifices. Now the sacrifice turns into you, because he never desired bulls and goats. That was never the intent. Daniel 9 and 27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. For the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So this man is sitting back and he's telling you that he will cause in the midst of the week the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. So let's look and see how he would go about doing this. And then sit back and see how he say, well, you make the sacrifice in a day. Let's look at Luke chapter 23, if I'm not mistaken. Luke chapter 23. I want to say verse 30. Elizabeth Renee, sit down somewhere. You all right, Liv? You okay? Are you okay? Yeah, you all right. Now, that's Luke 23 and about 44. Luke 23 and 44. And it was about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. And when Yahushua had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my Ruach. Having said thus, he gave up the Ruach. At this point, the master has died, and he has offered himself as a sacrifice. Let's look at something in Hebrews chapter 9. Because you have to remember, the master told them in what? That on the 3rd day he would rise again after suffering many things from the chief priests and the elders, and then he would be resurrected. This is causing him to cause the offering and sacrifice to cease in the midst of the week. Because when you're looking at the midst of the week, it's the midst of Passover, and not necessarily the middle of a regular week, as most Israelites look at it and refer to. Remember that Passover is a week-long festival, so week-long feast. He was rose on the 3rd day. The sacrifice and offering ceased at that point. See, that's why I told you sit down somewhere. Now you figure out how to get from under there. Yeah, you figure that out. Figure that out. Matter of fact, make that Hebrews chapter 10. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 12. Make it 10. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 10. Sit down, Renee. By the which we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Yahushua HaMashiach once and for all. And every priest stand daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices which can never take away sins. Hello? Kill that noise. Hello? What's going on? What's happening this way? Kill the noise. Sit down and be quiet. Leah, Lizzie, and Isaiah. Sit down and be quiet. By the which we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Yahushua HaMashiach once for all. Hey. Quiet. And every priest stand daily, ministering, offering oftentimes the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of Alahym, from henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. For by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified, whereof the Ruach HaKodesh also was witness to us. For after that he said before, this is the covenant that I will make with them. Hey, be quiet. Why are y'all so hard-headed? Sit down and be quiet. This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith Yahuwah. I will put my Torah into their hearts and in their minds, and I will write them. And their sins and iniquities will I remember no more. Now, remission of these is there is no more offering for sin, because he asked, are they building this? Will they make an end of sacrifice in one day? He says that they favor her dust, and his servants had take pleasure in the stones. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to take pleasure in our king, because in our king is where our life dwells. So when we look at take pleasure in the dust thereof, we need to sit back and we need to look at that. Let's look at John chapter, matter of fact, let's look at 1 Timothy 3 and 15. Sit down and be quiet. I ain't playing with y'all. First Timothy 3 and 15. First Timothy 3, make it 14. Hey, be quiet. Quiet. When Clifford the big red dog on, I can't get a word about y'all. So y'all better act like Clifford the big red dog is on. These things write I unto thee, hoping to come unto thee shortly. But if I tarry long, that thou may know that how thou ought to behave thyself in the house of Alahym. Now remember, he said you are a spiritual house. Now this is also literally talking about how to conduct yourself in the literal house of Alahym, but then you have to remember what he told you in John chapter 2, that he is the house of Alahym. Same thing that's written in Alahym in Hebrew chapter 3. You have to remember that. You ought to know how to behave yourself in the house or the body of Alahym. You should know how to conduct yourself. The word shows you how to conduct yourself while you in this man's house. Because you can't go in this man's house and defile it. So I don't know why we think we can dwell in the Mashiach and defile him if we know that he is the house. But that's another topic. We'll deal with that another day. I ain't going to get into that right now. I'll be getting off topic. It says, which is the house of the living Alahym, the pillar and ground of the truth. And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. Alahym was manifest in the flesh, justified in Ruach, seen of Malachim, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in the world, received up into esteem. When we look at it, it says that Alahym was manifest in the flesh. The first place that we can be able to get a justification where we can first see Alahym being manifested in the flesh is with Adam. We talked about this last week. So again, we're going to see this with Mashiach. Let's look at how he said he favored the dust. Because we have to sit back and look at how did this man favor dust? How did he put favor on dust? Let's look and see. Psalms 51. And after Psalm 51, Abarim Hebrew chapter 2. And after we swing to that, Galatians chapter 4. If y'all don't stop it. Get out here so I can see you. Get on around this corner so I can see you. Now sit. Now sit. Now sit. You better get somewhere and sit down, boy. Don't step on your sister. Just sit down. Get a hold of yourself, man. Get a hold of yourself. Bugging out. 51 and 5. Psalm 51 and 5. Don't put that on him. That's for girls. He's not a girl. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, in sin did my mother conceive me. But listen what he tell you. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. So he said he desires truth in the inward parts. So we need to sit back and look at what that can mean for us before we proceed looking at he was formed, shapen in iniquity, and sin did his mother conceive him. But let's look at how he said he desired truth in the inward parts in Matthew chapter 23. We just read that he said he put his Torah in your heart and in your inward parts. Because this is what this man's desire, is that his word is inside of you. And this will set you, actually, it'll set you free. We don't sit back and really consider that sometimes, is that we're after freedom. Hold on, y'all. Go. 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 You see, we don't really sit back and realize is that we after freedom. And that's what we after. Freedom from sin, freedom from death, and freedom from the world. And we can't get that if the word is not inside of us. Matthew what? 23 and what? 23. My apologies. Matthew 23 and 25. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you may clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. Thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and the platter, that the outside may be clean also. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are like unto wicked sepulchres, for which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanness. Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. So the master was really letting it be known, period, that the desire is always for it to be inward. A lot of the reasons why our people don't have any power, don't have any might, any strength, is because this stuff is not inside of us. We pretend like it's inside of us. We prefer that outward form of righteousness rather than that inward manifestation of righteousness which leads unto life. And this is why many people say, oh, I had a ruach, but yet their works and their faith manifest that they don't actually possess it because that's not inside of them. So you have to ask yourself, why have it? Because this is what he said he desires, is truth in the inward part. We know what truth is. It's a mind. That means that's faith. He desires a heart of faith. That's why